All right, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Let me know how many people are here. How many? How many people do we have here? Who's watching? My name is Aaron, and we are live as always, and we're here to discuss one of the power principles, like I've been sharing over the past few weeks. And today we're looking at the subject of persistence. I'm just gonna hold on a bit. If you're new to my YouTube station channel, please, why don't you click on subscribe? Let's get people be a part of this every Thursday evening at 7:30. I show up here to share something that I think would help you and I grow and be better people. So if you're here, why don't you do me a favor and just share this YouTube link to as many people on your groups, your WhatsApp groups, your Facebook groups, and things like that. Let's get a lot more people watching. And if you are not subscribed, why don't you hit the subscribe button? Hit the subscribe button and click on the bell so that you know exactly when I'm going live. So every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. I try to come on and share something that I think would help us be successful people. So if you're watching, let me know where you're watching from. And today, I want to say welcome to my YouTube channel. And today, in this lesson, I want to talk about a principle number 4, and that's the role of persistence. The role of persistence. And, you know, for me, persistence is the quality of continuing. It's the quality of continuing to be in the action of doing. Persistence is the quality of continuing to be in the action of doing. It's being in that action of moving forward despite the problems or difficulties. So despite problems or difficulties of hardships that have come along the way. For me, persistence is taking us all the way, is going all the way to our final achievement. You know, we live in a culture that expects instant gratification, and where many people have developed this sense of entitlement. You know, a lot of people have developed this sense of entitlement. You know, we expect movies on demand, 24-hour customer service. We want fast food. We want everything pretty easy in our lives. And we see this happening even in our debt-ridden homes, households, where many young people believe that they should be rewarded. Rewarded not because of their achievements. Yeah. Rewarded not because of their achievements, but simply because they tried. You know, I remember a time my daughter was given an award, some medal at tennis, just because she showed up. And I said, no, you don't give her a medal for showing up. You get a medal for actually winning. You know, and today we live in that age where people are rewarded not because of their achievements, but simply because they tried or because they showed up. And, you know, if you're like most people, just hearing the word persistence brings about this sense or image of struggle, you know, of unending effort or challenge that has to be endured. Well, for me, in the context of the power principles I've been sharing over the last few weeks, persistence has to be seen from a far more positive and optimistic view, in my opinion. It's not about enduring. Persistence is not about enduring. In fact, it's far from it. Instead, persistence is about actively doing whatever must be done with purpose, with passion and inspiration. Persistence is about actively doing whatever you must do. You do that with purpose, you do that with passion, and you do that with inspiration. This type of persistence, in my opinion, does not have an end. Its core is where you develop your daily motivation to live your vision, minute by minute, to live your vision hour by hour, to live your vision day by day. You know, I read this a while ago. President Calvin Coolidge was quoted as saying, as I look back on my life and I look at how I got to this place, he was a former president of the United States. And I look back at how I got to this place that separated me from people who had far more talent, far more education, credentials, and experience. I found out that nothing can take the place of persistence. Guys, talent will not. The world is full of unsuccessful people with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education alone will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. This is President Calvin's words, not mine. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. So see, in my opinion, what President Calvin was saying here, was trying to say here, is that the virtues of showing up for work and time, updating your knowledge, doing what you said you would do, and finishing what you start may not be glamorous or make for interesting conversations. They do, however, define the basic building blocks of success in all aspects of life, even beyond such traditional measurements as natural abilities, developed talent, or education. Most people actually said that 85% of people, after the first or second failure, defeat, or disappointment, quit. They are not willing to do what the great Ogmandino said. The great Ogmandino wrote that great book on sales, The Greatest Salesman. Persist until you succeed. You persist until you succeed. Now, there's a Japanese proverb that says, fall 7 times, stand up 8. Fall 7 times, stand up 8. And I love that, because persistence carries the tenacity, the intensity, the fire, and the relentless passion that naturally arises when you are living in alignment with your heart's desire. I hope this is helping. It means that you and I have to be people that we keep trying. We keep trying even when we fail. That's what persistence is all about. We keep trying even when we fail. We keep trying even when we fail, because we know we're learning and we're growing in competence with each failed attempt. And as such, you and I begin to become people who are getting closer to our success and a new level of awareness that would ultimately carry us forward. Now, this process makes all the difference in our journey. Makes all the difference in our journey. Without persistence, every other thing that may be, or the other power principles I may share, cannot be engaged, and they lose their transformational power. With persistence, however, your life can be changed forever. So persistence is closely tied with resolution. You resolve to act in alignment with your vision. You have to resolve that I am going to act in alignment with my vision. Often our daily routines, our personal interactions, they can weigh us down as burdens, or we can choose to fuel our actions with passionate resolution and intensity, in which case they can lift us and provide us motivation to persistently move forward. Say hi, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Hey, if you're not subscribed, hey, why don't you click the subscribe button so that you know when I come live. I'm typically live on a Thursday evening at 7:30, and I just come to share a thought for less than half an hour. So for me, this is the way of the power principles. Even necessary mundane actions will burn with fire. Mundane actions will burn with fire and passion and heat. So the journey becomes enjoyable, just as the destination is. The journey and the destination has to be enjoyable. You know, inevitably in life, you and I, we face situations and tasks that we would rather not have to face. There's a saying that's appropriate. Nobody trips over mountains, right? That's appropriate. Nobody trips over mountains. Inevitably, it's the small pebbles that cause us to stumble. So pass all those pebbles on your path. Pass all the pebbles on your path, and as soon you will find that you've crossed the mountain also. You pack them all up. A great man called Paul Sheely, who was a mentor to my mentor, had this great thought about tackling those pebbles and creating what we call a new model for avoiding them down the road. He said that determination, persistence, and patience are 3 parts of developing any habits. I'll say that again. Determination, persistence, and patience are 3 parts of developing any habit. If you're taking notes, I'll say it again. He said determination, persistence, and patience are the 3 habits, 3 parts of developing any habit. He said it's like looking at a graph that we used to use, you know, algebra classes, the x or vertical axis, or which is how much effort it takes, and the y or horizontal axis, which is talking about how much it's going to take you to get there. The first phase of developing any habit requires determination. The first phase of developing any habit requires determination. It takes a huge amount of energy or effort versus a lot of time. Lots of people give up because they realize that the level of energy or effort it's going to take, and they decide, you know what, I'm out of here. And the thing is, at the peak of that effort, though, the amount of time starts to level up as we're able to begin to reproduce the action, and we enter the next phase, which requires persistence or sticking with it. Now you have to keep doing the thing over and over and over again, and that's where people give up because it feels like it's going to take forever. So here's my example. My mentor, Paul Martinelli, always tells the story of when he changed the location of a garbage can in his kitchen. And after a month, he still found himself going under the sink to throw the garbage away. How many of you have done that? Because you know what? Old habits die hard. So you see, the final phase is when the energy and effort starts dropping off quickly, and it now becomes a habit. There's no more effort over time, but it requires patience with ourselves. What happens is this: our old behavior will suddenly resurface. Persistence is the lateral move at the top of the graph, where we are not only crossing the finish line, we learn to cross it again and again and again and again. It's that ability to reproduce success over and over and over again, through to completion, follow through to completion. It says in Think and Grow Rich that Henry Ford was notable for following through on all his plans. That's persistence. So in your personal journey, in my personal journey, you and I would have to face situations. We would have to confront people. We would have to change our internal habits. Whether you want to build a high rise or you want to lose weight, both of them are filled with challenges. They are filled with friction. They are filled with internal and external opposition and momentum that's going to have to be changed. Yet in either case, when we live embedded in persistence, our inner fire overcomes. In fact, when we truly embody the principle of persistence in its most essential and true manifestation, what happens is we begin to look forward to and embrace the challenges that come with it. We will seek them out. The fire within us begins to burn so strong that we can overcome the relative pebbles. Remember the pebbles on our path. And no matter the size of the obstacles, it just adds fuel. It adds fuel to the fire so that our resolution, our intensity to grow would match it. So have you seen the best athletes at the top of their game when the stakes are raised and their intensity increases? We've all heard the saying, rise to the challenge, rise up to the challenge. Through weeks and months and sometimes years of training, these athletes develop that habit of persistence in which they now sharpen their resolution to face any obstacle. It inspires the bystanders, it inspires the spectators, and it touches internally every one of us in a very fundamental way, right? Because persistence is not concerned with action per se. It's not just about trying your best. Persistence it's about taking it all the way to accomplishment. A lot of people say they are busy. There's a difference between being busy, activity, and accomplishment. Persistence is following through till accomplishment. That's what it's all about. Persistence says if you have ever tried your best and you haven't accomplished your goal, then get better. I'm going to show up again. See, we have a lot of old sayings and linguistic metaphors, like it's better to have a bird in hand than two in the bush. Well, why would you ever want to settle for a bird in the hand? Why not just become a better shot and get them both, right? That would be my thinking. Do you agree with me? Persistence is continuously doing things necessary to not only get better, but to reach the goal. You see, persistence is concerned with accomplishment. It's concerned with results, and it carries a time component. Your effort will have order, will need to have structure, will need to have direction about brought to you about through to your vision and your focus. Without vision and without focus to structure your efforts, your actions will likely mirror those of people whose lives are filled with action but no real accomplishment. And I always tell my clients this: never confuse activity with accomplishment. Two different things. They wake up, they cook, they eat, they fill their day with errands from their to-do list, but absolutely going nowhere. They are busy, but they are not productive. This type of activity has nothing to do with persistence. It's only about keeping the mind and body occupied. So remember, persistence is a power principle. It's only concerned with accomplishments and not activity. So even though you've persisted, even if you didn't accomplish your goal, then it's time to be persistent again. It's time to be persistent about getting better so you can. After all, you're trying to achieve a much broader vision here, right? For your life. So persistence is commitment to the end result. Persistence is you and I being committed to the end result. In the process of commitment to the end result, persistence will have you sharpen your skills and advance your learning in every area of life. You know, anybody who knows me knows that one of my favorite books is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. In the chapter on persistence, which I was teaching just last week, Sunday, he says that persistence is a state of mind. Therefore, it can be cultivated. You can cultivate having a persistent mind. He said, like all states of minds, persistence is based upon definite causes, and at least what he calls the 8 factors of persistence. The first one is definiteness of purpose. The second is desire. The third, self-reliance. The fourth, definiteness of plan. You have to have plans. The fifth is accurate knowledge. The sixth is cooperation. You need the cooperation of other people to help you be persistent. Seventh is willpower, which he also sees as focus. And the eighth is habit. So even if you've not had a chance to rethink and grow rich yet, if you haven't read it in the last 12 months, I encourage you to pick the book up and dive back in, especially on this chapter on persistence. You know, just before I close, hey, if you're new to my YouTube page, why don't you subscribe so you know when I go live? I tend to go live most Thursdays at 7:30, but we always have great content here being shared or released weekly. It could be an interview I've had with someone. It could be a teaching like this. It could be short snippets. Guys, there's always more than enough content to help you grow here on my YouTube page. So hey, why don't you subscribe and click the bell so that you know when I'm going live. So now in closing, let me share with you this. Your habits are what define your hours. Your habits define your hours, your days, and your life. Your habits define your hours, your days, and your life. Your habits will define how you persist towards your final goals and your achievements. Your habits will define how you persist towards your final goals and your achievement. So remember this, that persistence is not a burden, but persistence is a blessing. Persistence is not a burden. Stop treating persistence as a burden. Persistence is a blessing. It's a blessing. So hold on, keep going, stick to your vision, and guess what? Soon it will be realized. All right. Thanks for listening. It's meant to be a short lesson, and see you again here next week Thursday when we're sharing another lesson. This has been Aaron Tieran, and power principle number 4, the role of persistence in living a successful life. Hold your image. I'm your friend, and I'll see you next week. God bless.